All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is your favorite warlock, practicing necromancer, and overall dark sorcerer. All right, and today I want to further the discussion that we were having on necromancy, okay, and how it's associated with agents of death such as Santa Morte. As you know, I've been working with Santa Morte for a long time now, and I started working with her for the entire month this month. Okay, she's the next spirit on the list, so and I wanted to do the series of Santa Morte practices right here. But before I get into those types of practices live, I want to kind of give you that little update. Okay, kind of give you a few references. So today, I want to take you through a couple sources that you, as the practitioner, is able to define. Okay, to even go in and research for yourself. Okay, now we all know the first one, the Witch of Endor. Okay, it's spoken of in the Bible. Most witches of Wiccan and paganism today actually always reference this witch, but they don't go into detail when they actually commune about and discuss this powerful sorceress. Okay, because most of what everybody knows about her came from the Bible. Okay, she was a Canaanite witch. Okay, now keep in mind at the time King Saul and his sons was waging a 40-year war against the land of giants. That was the Turks. Okay, the Turkish army. Okay. So he couldn't see a way out. He could not get out and find a way to end the war. He could have surrendered, but his people would have been enslaved, and most importantly, he he would have gone against his own god. Okay. And it's interesting because like most sorcerers and sorceresses and people of the right hand path, meaning the JCI, the Judo Christian institutions, they always go to a dark sorcerer or sorceress. And there are numerous accounts. I mean, you take the astrologist and alchemist Nicodemus, who went to Jesus of Nazareth, a warlock, okay, a practitioner of the arcane, okay, and that's very evident in the story that he was a practitioner. So, and he went underneath the cover of darkness in a cloak and was told, okay, you have to be born again, and you have to be baptized in water to get into the heavens, okay, into heaven. So that's one tale, okay, right there. But we're talking about the Witch of Endor here. So here it is. So anyways, like I said, he was in a 40-year war. He couldn't see the end of the war. He couldn't go against his god. He's got so much freaking blood on his hands already. He's basically a career criminal, a murderer because of how many Turks he has killed, how many people he sent to their deaths in the name of his god. Okay, so he decides, you know what? I'm gonna send my men out to find the most powerful practitioner. So one of them comes back and he says, "Hey, the Witch of Endor is the best." Okay, so he puts on the cloak and he goes underneath the cloud of night, and she's already seen this happen. She's already seen it come to pass. Remember, she's a blood sorcerer. She's a necromancer. She communes with the dead. Okay, so he comes in and says, "I need you to raise such and such a spirit." If I remember correctly, it was Samuel, if I'm not mistaken. It was either Samuel or Emmanuel, one or the other. I want to say it was Samuel. So she basically looks at him and says, "Why are you trying to ensnare me? You got to remember that in this time frame, there were laws, just like there are today, just like there have been through the witch trials, the burning times, the persecution of witches through the Catholic and the Vatican churches. Okay, it's there. So instead of coming out and says, "Yeah, I'll do it for you," why she says, "Why are you trying to ensnare me?" Basically telling him, "I want you to corrupt yourself first. I want you to show me what you're willing to do. You want my help? You're going to show me what you are going to do." So he says, "I need you to conjure the spirit because I'm in the middle of a freaking war and I don't see the end of it." So she takes a corpse, she takes blood, chemomancy, and she reanimates a soul and conjures the spirit of the prophet, long since dead, that he needed to speak to. Okay? The following day, after the prediction of his death and the death of his sons in battle, which ironically took place the following day, 12 hours. 12 hours later, he and his sons were dead, killed by the Turks, and King David rose to power. We go into Erik the Red. We see another necromancer, another seer, individual who uses bones and runes, things that will help divine past, present, and future. Now, in Erik the Red, the tale of Erik the Red, there was this witch that was always always invited to these big fancy feasts, these parties, these bashes, these festivals, so she could do her little spiel. Okay. And it's ironic because this one individual threw this bash and invited her because there was a famine going on in the land, a famine, and the big famine, there was like no end to it. So this guy, he wanted to know, when is the crops going to start growing? When is this famine going to die down? So he invites her. She comes in, sleeps the night, does her thing, comes comes forth the next morning, does her reading, and says, "Soon. It will come soon." Gives an exact date too, an exact time of year, and it came to pass. Okay. She was always dressed in fancy, linens and everything. I'm talking jewelry. Think of the whore of Babylon, if you will, from Revelations chapter 13. She's one of those ones that literally dresses in fine apparel. She's got all the jewelry, the necklaces and all that stuff because she is well known, well respected, and always hanging out with the elite. Okay, and they buy her stuff, they give her stuff, they feed her, put her up with room and board just so she can read and predict the future. Okay, incredible tale. I recommend Erik the Red. Okay, the next one on the list is Homer's Odyssey. Here we see Odysseus, a king. He was tempted. The tale goes that he's been tempted by so many, especially the sirens, but yet he survived the sirens and returned home. But here's the funny thing: there's a tale in there of how he went to the goddess of mysticism, Circe. She told him what tools to use, where to go, and what to do. So when he goes to the underworld and he journeys to the underworld, into the void, welcome. Welcome to the channel. And thank you. I'm glad you like the work I put forth. Hope you're learning a lot. So, anyways, so he goes into the underworld. He brings all the tools, the hemomancy, and he goes to the rivers. There's like three, four rivers that connect, and one of them is the river of dead souls, that of the river Styx. Okay, this is where the ferryman boats the dead spirits across into Hades. Okay, so basically he sets up his tools, he performs the rites, speaks the words, summons the spirit that he was there to summon and speak to, and it's a big success, and he ends up getting out of the underworld with his life. Okay, great story, great mythos. I have the book, I love it. So right there you have the Witch of Endor, the seer from the tale, Erik the Red, and that Erik is spelled with a K at the end, by the way. You'll find all the links right down below except for one, and I will get to that in a few minutes. And then Homer's Odyssey. Okay. Now, these are three tales of necromancy. Four, if you're talking about the prophets being summoned. Okay. Jesus was on top of Mount Hinnom, and a rift, he brought up a couple disciples of his, and a rift was opened behind him, and out came two prophets. Okay. Like I said, another tale of necromancy. Now you understand why I refer to him as a warlock, as a practitioner of the arcane, because it's very evident that he's controlled the weather, he's controlled the elements, he's a reader, he's a mind reader, he's a seer, he's predicting things. This is mediumship, okay? This is necromancy. He's brought two people back from the dead. Okay, he's an alchemist because he got a guy to see again. Okay, he aided a man in seeing again. So there's a lot of tales and a lot of evidence backing this up. Okay, and I know Christians hate that fact when you bring this shit up. Okay, fucking love it, pisses them off. I really do love it. I love pissing them off because it it just means that the truth, they're hearing the truth, and it's you know underneath their skin, and their skin is like, oh my god, I hate you, I hate you, you're revealing truth. Oh my god, you know. Probably had a little too much coffee, but you know what I mean. So there is a lot of tales and a lot of proof backing this stuff up. So, anyways, moving on. So there are a lot of tales of practitioners throughout history that were very powerful necromancers, powerful sorcerers and sorceresses that worked with the dead. Okay. You've got cults, you've got, like the cult of Isis, the cult of Anubis, the cult of Hecate, the cult of Artemis. There's a lot of them that are out there that just, you know, follow these ways of death. I mean, you look at the Shem priesthood, the Hashishin, even the Knights of Templar who worshipped Baphomet, okay, and so forth. The Illuminati that looked for spiritual truth, but also scientific. Okay, Crowley, another one. You could see that these practitioners were few and far between, but they were there. They left a huge impact on society, and went down in history and folklore and mythology, and even religious and philosophical tales. Okay, so one of the big ones, and one that I relate to, and one of the things that have always fascinated me, which is one of the reasons when I got into necromancy, I ended up going through from Egypt all the way up into Greek and Roman, up into the Middle East, up into European traditions, all the way up into Slavic, before getting down into the African Caribbean traditions. And one of the tales that really stuck out to me was Kakashi, the immortal. Okay, he was an immortal necromancer, and his there's a couple of tales that are out there of just him alone. And the tale goes that this necromancer, he wanted to become an immortal. So he went to Baba Yaga, the witch of the 12th circle. Okay. And we all know the tale of Baba Yaga, the horribly disfigured witch who lives in a cabin deep in the woods that has chicken legs and moves around. Okay. Basically, your average children's folk tale to scare little children into eating your veggies. Okay. So here we have this guy. He goes through, he does all the tests, he gets his soul put into a number of different things, and it ends up on a mysterious island somewhere. And then you have this king that locks him away, king or queen that locks him away, and 12 years passes. He's now a bitter old man, chained up, the depictions of it. And this fool, this young king comes in and he's like, why is this guy even up here in the tower? Why is he chained up? This is brutal, you know? So he ends up releasing him and instantly regrets it because he takes vengeance on the queen, the guy's wife. So now he has to go rescue her from this immortal, but he's always ending up getting his ass handed to him. He always ends up with his ass handed to him. So he finally goes to Baba Yaga and he says, how do I get past Kakashi to get to my wife and rescue her? Mr. Zombie, welcome to the channel. So he says, how do I do this? Well, I tell you what, you pass 3 of my tests. Okay? 3 tests. And I will give you that secret. But you have to do it. You have to win. Okay? Setting up that challenge. But she was unaware that he had already made friends with 3 powerful totem animals. 3 powerful animal spirits. And all she had to do was watch her swine. That was it. Just watch the swine. So she gave him 3 nights. Each night, she did something to allow them to run away, just to make him fail. And each time, one of these animals came to, his rescue and brought these swine back. She couldn't figure it out, but it pissed her off, you know. So she gave him another night and another night. So after the 3rd night, she had no choice but to give him the answer that he was seeking, and she gave him the fastest horse that she had, and he ended up saving his wife. And Kakashi, at least the mythos of it, says that he was cut into little pieces and shipped off to numerous parts of the world. Basically, very very interesting. So you have Kakashi, you have Odysseus, you have the Witch of Endor, and you also have the spirits that work with it. Even Nicodemus. These are all very potent sources of information when it comes to necromancy and working with the dead. So, how do these tales associate with Santa Morte or that of Anubis? How about Hades, Hell, or say, for an example, Chernobog? How about Satan or Beelzebub? Well, for one, these are all spirits. These are gods, basically, goddesses, folk saints, and they go down in history as such. They are very powerful players when working with the dead. Okay, you look at the various different festivals that are taking place throughout the world. The Day of the Dead, for an example. Do you know how many times they bring foods and wines to the graves because it's the time of the year when the veil is considered to be so thin that the spirits can come back, your loved ones can come back, and you can commune with them, and you feed them fruits, vegetables, you name it, cakes, pastries. Even Wiccans and pagans have been known to do this. Okay, they give these treats, these foods, cakes, and wines to their gods and goddesses, the creator, the mother, and the father. the god, the goddess, Diana Kununos. Wow. But yet, if you look at the cults, such as the cult of Anubis, you look at the Shem priesthood and how they operated underneath the guise of Anubis, the jackal-headed dog, the god that guided souls to the hereafter. Hecate, the queen of witches, ghosts, justice, the underworld. Isis, the mother of witchcraft. She's basically the mother figure of witches. She's associated heavily through the reanimation of Osiris, her mate, how she worked and became associated with Anubis. How about Circe in Greek mythology, the mysticism, goddess of mysticism? She was once a mortal being. Damn cats. Uh, but anyways, she became the goddess. Athena made her what she is. Ironic how the gods make other gods. How they commune, how the practitioners communed through chemomancy, through divination, through reanimation and conjuration of evocation and invocation type rituals and rites. Grimoire systems are full of this. If you look at the grimoire systems, they tell you to get a Y-shaped twig, create a rod of power, stand in the circle of a triangle of evocation. Triangle, not circle, but triangle. Summon a spirit. Some grimoire systems tell you to stand inside of a circle of empowerment. Christians and pagans and Wiccans, they call it a circle of protection. Because there are stories out there, there are myths of practitioners having to stand in a circle. You look at the Roskina, for an example. Practitioner wanted this book, wanted the book of this pope that became a devil, an archdemon. He stood in a circle. He took the book, pissed off the demon to which the book belonged to, that was written to. It was written in human flesh. And yet, by the time the sun came up, this demon had no choice but to flee. At least that's what the story goes. So now, the myth and the history behind the Roskina is that it was broken up into two parts, the north and the south. No one even knows what happened to the Roskina itself, the original text. But yet, the spirits are guiding sorcerers and sorceresses worldwide to this truth, to the truth that you have power, things that you have forgotten, things that you have forgotten about, that has been denied you through the JCI, dogma, propaganda. So here we are working with the folk saint this month, Santa Morte. Representation of Mary, Mother of Jesus, the bony lady, beloved death, Saint Death. Ironic, isn't it? The corruption of the image. But yet, this spirit is considered to be very jealous, very demanding, much like Papa Legba in Wudan, or that of the JCI Yahweh, Jehovah. Chill out, T-Bone. Don't you wink at me. Come over there and I'll pick you up. So, anyways, you look at the history of this, how it's seen in the darkest parts, the dark aspects. Of practice, curses, hexes, vengeance. used for terrifying means by cartels and criminal activity. But you also see the light aspects: love, protection, healing, money, how the spirit helps you and works with you in that means. All she asks is that you worship her. All you have to do is bow that knee and worship her. Pray to her. Acts of servitude, omissions. How do you think these temples of these gods and goddesses that I spoke of happened? These cults. The Shem priesthood, for an example, ancient Giza, first goes back to the first dynasty. They had different priests for different responsibilities. You had priests, a role of priest that deals with the public. You had some priests, a degree of priests that kept the sanctuary clean. You had some priests, its sole responsibility was to devout worship the spirits of Anubis. You had those priests that were to perform the rites and rituals, such as cleansing the body, organ removal, mummification, praying over the dead. The Egyptian Book of the Dead, for an example. You had priests that sole purpose was to console the dead and dying. Look at the Bars Fadal, the Art of Dying, better yet known today as the Tibetan Book of the Dead. So when you worship a spirit, it is good to have a sound mind and to have an understanding of what you're getting into when you're not only working with that spirit, but that you are understanding what it means to be a devout worshiper of that spirit. What do you do when you give offerings, sacrifices? Are you sacrificing your time? Are you sacrificing blood, hemomancy, your blood? Are you working with items of death such as iron keys or, let's say, for example, human skulls and bones? How about graveyard dirt or, say, for an example, things and items of death? Look at a raven's feather or the feather of a, maybe a tomb, something like a tombstone, like a piece of granite, things that you could find at graveyards. How about mortuaries or coliseums, abandoned churches, place of great power, great spiritual power? These are all there, and they're all associated when you're working with death. A lot of people will not talk about this stuff because of how it entails and reveals the truth. If you actually look at the stories behind of what I just said, you get into the actual dates and everything, you will understand that what you've been led to believe up until this point is a lie. And that's what the JCI hate. That's what the Judo Christian institutions hate. The truth coming out and you realizing that you too have that power. Marcus Aurelius once said, if anything is applicable for any given man, it too you are able to do as well. And yes, I just paraphrased that one, but it is there. Okay, I can't re- remember right offhand the exact quote that he said, but that's basically what he said. If it is, if one man is what if one man is able to do it, so too are you. Okay, that's basically the key ingredient right there. You too can do it. You just have to be dedicated, committed, and self-motivated to delve into the arts, to delve into the actual history, folklore, mythology, archaeology. You get into evil archaeology, or you get into, say, for an example, the book of demons and demonology. You get into what is it, Lionel Fanthorpe and Patricia Fanthorpe's book. What is that called? Satanism and Demonology. There we go. And you will see a huge amount of information that was dug up and put together, ranging worldwide mythology from Middle Eastern to Egypt, even South American traditions, talking about gateways and portals and fucking cities of the gods. You name it. It doesn't matter if it's Aztec, Mayan, Egyptian, Greek, Roman, Turkish, Slavic, Russian, Baltic. It does not freaking matter. It is there. You just got to delve into it and learn the truth. That's all I got to say. Okay. So, my next video, I will be doing part two of Necromancy with Alfredo Martinez tomorrow around noontime, Eastern time. So after that, I will probably be doing a live video and a ritual with Santa Morte. So, because I will be getting in there, I'll be doing some void meditation beforehand and probably some chanting, some mantras before I get into the actual summoning and opening up the rituals and rites live for you to actually see how it's working, how it's working and how it's done. Okay, maybe you can learn something, maybe see something that I didn't see while I was in there. Either way, that's why I record my rituals and my rites because I can always go back through and go, "Oh, I didn't." That out of all the candles, that one there in the back corner is going nuts. Spiritual contact right there. Okay, so I mean, it's like okay, something's always going on. Either you're seeing something in the incense smoke, or the black scrying mirror, the divination, bowl. You're feeling something's going on there. Sometimes you hear noises that, like chatting of teeth that you don't know is there because you're so focused on doing the rites and rituals that you don't see it. You don't even hear it. But there's also kinds of things about opening yourself up to the spiritual currents. So starting tomorrow, I am going to be doing these live videos off and on for the next couple of weeks. And kind of, I'm not just going to be talking about the experiences while I'm doing these, but I'm also going to be showing them to you. All right. So I hope this has been educational. I hope it's been enlightening. Always back up what you preach with numerous sources and always make yourself available to the public. All right. I want to thank Into the Void for jumping on here with me. I want to thank Mr. Zombie for jumping on here with me. And until next time, I'm out.